these economic numbers are just really bad, like really, 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 really bad, because we just learned today that inflation has jumped another 3.7%. And the reason it's jumping is because of energy prices. We got news the other day that Biden, he's been like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. He finally decided he's not going to drill in the Arctic, and he's pulling away all those contracts. OPEC, meanwhile, it's been cutting production. So what do you think happens? Oil prices go up. And no, we don't have all those electric vehicles, and we don't have the whole grid built out for those electric vehicles. So what do you think is going to happen in the interim? Energy prices go up, people suffer, right? And yet somehow, despite this spike in energy prices, they want you to think otherwise. I mean, it's wild to me. Let me give you the numbers. So in August, CPI, Consumer Price Index, rose 3.7% from 12 months earlier. It was up from 3.2% in July. Yikes. Okay, so this is not good. And whoa, hey, great. It fell from 9.1% in June 2022. That was the highest it had been since 1981. But keep in mind, it was Mr. Joe Biden who came into office in January of 21, and then, somehow for the February 21, and then you got 9.1% on the Consumer Price Index, even higher, by the way, double digits on the producer prices. So, he can say it's coming down, but let's just keep in mind who it went up under. It is still higher. So inflation is still a problem. And the reason it's a problem, if you read the fine print, is because of gas prices. In fact, I'm going to quote from a CNBC article in which they write, gasoline prices jumped 10.6% in August alone, following a 0.2% increase in July. Gasoline cost $3.84 a gallon on average as of Tuesday, according to AAA. Gasoline was the largest contributor to inflation in the month of August, accounting for over half of that increase. And yet, what do we got here? We got this Jared Bernstein trying to tell us something else entirely. I'm going to get to it. But first, Mr. Paul Krugman, that wonderful elitist economist there at Princeton University, who is the most political hack of an economist I've ever met in my entire life, trying to tell us that actually there is no inflation. I mean, the guy must think we are morons. Here he is with that wonderful Christiane Amanpour.
The president and congressional Democrats are cutting energy costs by investing in clean energy and reducing our dependence on foreign countries that often don't share our values. And so I view the investment agenda that I talked about in my comments as very closely connected to this idea of transitioning to clean energy and more energy independence.
I'm commenting on just how ridiculous it is that they're trying to spin the narrative in terms of the economy as somehow being good, with Paul Krugman having gone on CNN saying, you know what, it's amazing. It's just so surreally good. So really good. Yeah. Inflation, nothing to see here, despite the fact that it's up 3.7%. And then the White House is really strange because the White House actually put this guy, Jared Bernstein, out there who's just going to do a dog and pony show trying to tell you that everything is great because energy prices are down, when I'm sorry, but you know what? You look at that CPI number that came out today, gasoline prices jumped 10.6% in August alone. In August, the problem is that gas is at $3.84 a gallon on average, according to AAA. In fact, gasoline, I quote, was the largest contributor to inflation in the month of August, accounting for over half of the increase. And yet, here we get Jared Bernstein trying to tell us this. Come on, people. Really?
The president and congressional Democrats are cutting energy costs by investing in clean energy and reducing our dependence on foreign countries that often don't share our values. And so I view the investment agenda that I talked about in my comments as very closely connected to this idea of transitioning to clean energy and more energy independence.
Yeah. All right. So that whole energy independence thing, that's really bringing gas prices down. That's really bringing energy prices down. I'm sorry, buddy. It's not. It's just not working. Okay. In fact, the New York Times came out with a story today. This is the New York Times. And they're talking about poverty levels being at the highest they've ever been. Like for everyone. It doesn't matter. Every group, white, black, women, men, single women, single men. It doesn't matter. Like for everyone. we are now looking at the highest poverty levels in recent years under none other than Bidenomics. So I just have to say, you know what? It's not working. It's just not working. And the public gets that. They understand that. And they're tired of it, which is why when you try and say that we can't report on stuff, whether it be this new whistleblower allegation coming out about the CIA, which the CIA denies, whether it be that, whether it be the fact that father and son enjoy such a close, tight relationship, which I'm sorry, that's been documented, right? It has. And by the way, he was just hanging out there at the White House when he got his little plea deal. I'm sorry, like that is just sort of fact. They enjoy a close relationship. The other fact is that we've seen the bank records. So that's kind of just sort of out there. And I don't know how you can possibly try and pretend that none of this exists. I mean, it's just not working. Anyway, it's going to continue being this push-pull because they think they can control the narrative. They think they control the media, and for the most part, they do. But you see, the media is changing. I'm over here. I don't need to be controlled. I no longer work for one of those big networks. We're here together. And there's many people like me. In fact, when I look around at so many of my talented Fox colleagues, they're not there anymore. So they are free birds able to do their own thing like me. Hey everyone, Trish Regan here. If you enjoyed that clip, please do me the favor of subscribing to the channel. Just hit that little subscribe button right over there. Did I do that right? Not quite, but you know where it is. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so that you get the alerts, and I'll see you back on the show.